The world is shrouded in mystery. Ancient forces linger in the shadows. Exorcism. The word itself sends shivers down your spine. It is a ritual, a desperate battle against unseen forces that seek to possess the body and soul. These cases challenge our understanding of the world, blurring the lines between sanity and madness, faith and fear. Two such cases, forever etched in history, are the haunting stories of Anneliese Michel and Roland Doe. Anneliese Michel, a young German woman, found herself trapped in a horrifying descent into madness. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, a young boy named Roland Doe became embroiled in his own terrifying ordeal. These cases offer a glimpse into the darkest corners of human experience, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 in a small village in Germany. She was a devout Catholic girl, raised in a strict household.
I always felt a deep connection to my faith. It was my anchor, something that gave me strength and comfort.
As Anneliese blossomed into a young woman, she excelled in school and dreamed of becoming a teacher. However, a darkness was slowly creeping into their lives. Anneliese began experiencing bouts of depression, moments of deep sadness that seemed to come from nowhere. Her once bright demeanor became clouded by moments of withdrawal and anxiety. At first, these episodes were dismissed as typical teenage angst. But as time went on, Anneliese's condition worsened. She became increasingly withdrawn, isolating herself from her friends and family. Anneliese's parents, deeply concerned, sought medical help for their daughter, hoping to find an explanation for her sudden and drastic change. Doctors were baffled by Anneliese's condition. Her symptoms defied traditional medical explanations.
The voices, they wouldn't stop. They kept telling me I was damned, that I would never find peace.
Anneliese's behavior became increasingly erratic and disturbing. She began experiencing auditory hallucinations, hearing voices whispering her name, taunting her. Anneliese's sleep was plagued by nightmares, vivid and terrifying visions that left her trembling in fear. Her physical health deteriorated as well. She suffered from seizures, her body contorting violently and uncontrollably. She became increasingly aggressive, lashing out at those around her, even her beloved family. The once comforting rituals of her faith now filled her with dread and terror. Anneliese's parents watched in horror as their daughter slipped further into the abyss, their hearts breaking with each passing day. As Anneliese's condition spiraled out of control, her family turned to the church for help. The church, however, was hesitant to intervene. Exorcisms were rare, reserved for only the most extreme cases. Finally, after months of pleading, a local priest, Father Ernst Alt, agreed to assess Anneliese's condition.
Though shaken by what I witnessed, I was still cautious. I knew the gravity of declaring someone possessed, but something in Anneliese's eyes, a deep-seated torment that chilled me to the bone, convinced me that this was no ordinary case of mental illness. This was something far more sinister, something that demanded the church's intervention.
After much deliberation, permission was granted for an exorcism to be performed on Anneliese Michel.
The exorcism rituals were long and grueling, both for Anneliese and the priests involved.
The room crackled with tension as the priest chanted in Latin. Anneliese's body contorted violently, her screams echoing through the halls.
Despite the horrors I endured, I never lost my faith. I believed that I was chosen by God to suffer these demonic attacks.
The exorcism sessions were recorded, and the audio tapes, filled with chilling screams and guttural voices, would later become infamous. The tapes became a source of both fascination and horror, capturing the raw and terrifying nature of the battle being waged for Anneliese's soul. As months turned into years, Anneliese's condition worsened. The exorcism seemed to intensify the demonic activity.
I refused food and water, believing that fasting would weaken the demons within me.
On July 1st, 1976, Anneliese Michel died in her home. She was just 23 years old. Her death, attributed to starvation and dehydration, sent shockwaves through Germany and beyond. The case of Anneliese Michel became a media sensation, sparking intense debate about the nature of mental illness, the limits of religious faith, and the ethics of exorcism. Her story remains a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the enduring power of belief and the devastating consequences when faith trumps reason. Across the Atlantic, another chilling case of suspected demonic possession was gripping the United States.
My story would later serve as the inspiration for one of the most terrifying horror films ever made, The Exorcist.
Roland's case, like Anneliese's, began with seemingly innocuous events, strange occurrences that hinted at something amiss.
In the quiet suburbs of Maryland, my family lived a seemingly idyllic life. We were a devout family, active in our local parish.
It was with Aunt Harriet that the strange occurrences began, subtle at first, like whispers in the dead of night. But as time went on, these unsettling events grew more frequent, more intense, impossible to ignore. The strange occurrences began subtly, almost imperceptibly, objects moving inexplicably in the dead of night.
At first, my family dismissed these events as tricks of the imagination, but as the days turned into weeks, the occurrences grew more frequent, more intense.
One evening, a heavy picture frame crashed to the floor, the glass shattering into 1,000 pieces.
My behavior began to change subtly at first. I became withdrawn, my once playful demeanor replaced by a brooding silence.
His parents, desperate to understand what was happening to their son, tried everything they could think of. They took him to doctors who found nothing physically wrong with him. They consulted child psychologists who attributed his behavior to stress or anxiety, offering little in the way of concrete answers or effective solutions. As Roland's condition worsened, his family turned to their faith for answers. They confided in their parish priest, Father E. Albert Hughes.
I listened intently to their story. I had heard tales of demonic possession, but had always approached such stories with skepticism.
He agreed to visit their home to observe Roland. What he witnessed during that visit shook him to his core.
Objects moved on their own as if guided by an unseen hand. Strange symbols appeared overnight. And then there was Roland, his eyes vacant one moment, filled with a chilling awareness the next, his voice changing, deepening, taking on a guttural and menacing tone.
Convinced that Roland was possessed, Father Hughes sought permission from the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism.
The Church, hesitant to sanction such a drastic measure, initially resisted.
However, the severity of Roland's case and the compelling testimony of Father Hughes eventually swayed them. An exorcism was approved, a decision that would have far-reaching consequences for Roland and his family.
The exorcism of Roland Doe was a harrowing ordeal, a battle between good and evil that stretched on for weeks.
The priests, armed with their faith and ancient rituals, fought tirelessly to free the boy.
Roland's body became a battleground, contorting violently, his voice a chilling chorus of screams. The air crackled with tension, the scent of incense mingling with fear and sulfur.
The details of the exorcism, shrouded in secrecy, leaked out over the years, becoming legend.
Newspapers published accounts, often embellished, cementing Roland Doe's place in paranormal history.
William Peter Blatty drew inspiration from these accounts for his novel, The Exorcist. Blatty's novel became a cultural phenomenon, sparking renewed interest in demonic possession.
In 1973, The Exorcist was adapted into a film, becoming a box office sensation and terrifying audiences worldwide. With its graphic special effects and haunting score, The Exorcist cemented its place as one of the most terrifying horror films ever made. The cases of Anneliese Michel and Roland Doe became media sensations, captivating the public imagination and igniting debates about faith, mental illness, and the supernatural.
Newspapers seized upon the chilling details, often embellishing accounts for dramatic effect. Headlines screamed of demonic possession, of battles between priests and evil entities.
The stories tapped into a primal fear of the unknown. The cases became a media circus, with reporters clamoring for interviews and photographers vying for shocking images. The public's reaction to these cases was sharply divided, reflecting the deep-seated beliefs and anxieties of the time.
Some, deeply devout in their faith, saw these cases as undeniable proof of the existence of the devil, a stark reminder of the battle between good and evil being waged for human souls. They viewed the priests involved as courageous warriors, confronting the forces of darkness head-on.
Others, more skeptical in nature, questioned the authenticity of the possession claims, attributing the victim's behavior to undiagnosed mental illnesses or even elaborate hoaxes. They criticized the Church for its role in these cases, accusing them of exploiting vulnerable individuals and perpetuating harmful superstitions.
The cases sparked a broader conversation about the role of faith and science in modern society. Some argued that these cases highlighted the limitations of science, its inability to explain the unexplainable, the mysteries that lie beyond the reach of empirical observation.
They saw faith as a source of comfort and guidance in a world often characterized by uncertainty and fear. Others countered that resorting to supernatural explanations in the face of complex psychological phenomena was a dangerous regression, a step backward from the progress made in understanding the human mind.
They argued for a more compassionate and evidence-based approach to mental health, one that prioritized treatment and understanding over fear and superstition.
Enduring fascination, the lingering impact on popular culture. Despite the controversy and the passage of time, the cases of Anneliese Michel and Roland Doe continue to fascinate and horrify, their stories woven into the fabric of popular culture.
Books, documentaries, and countless articles continue to be written about these cases, dissecting the details, examining the evidence, and exploring the enduring questions they raise about the nature of good and evil.
The film adaptation of The Exorcist, inspired by the case of Roland Doe, remains a cultural touchstone, its imagery seared into the collective consciousness. Its terrifying depiction of demonic possession and the visceral realism of its special effects set a new standard for horror cinema, influencing countless films that followed.
The enduring fascination with these cases speaks to a deep-seated human need to grapple with the unknown, to confront the darkness that lurks at the edges of our understanding.
These stories offer a glimpse into the abyss, a chilling reminder of the fragility of our existence and the forces, both real and imagined, that can shatter our sense of security and control.
The cases of Anneliese Michel and Roland Doe serve as cautionary tales, reminding us of the importance of critical thinking, of seeking understanding and compassion in the face of suffering, and of the dangers of surrendering to fear and superstition in the pursuit of answers to life's most perplexing mysteries.
Reflecting reality, amplifying horror. The silver screen mirrors our deepest fears. Stories of Anneliese Michel and Roland Doe, steeped in demonic possession, provide fertile ground for cinema.
Filmmakers translate these real-life horrors into cinematic experiences, reflecting and amplifying the terror.
The Exorcist set a new standard for horror cinema, with its depiction of demonic possession and groundbreaking effects.
Its power lies in terrifying visuals and themes like the fragility of faith and the vulnerability of innocence.
Director William Friedkin drew from the Roland Doe case, incorporating real exorcism rituals. Friedkin also took creative liberties, amplifying the horror for cinematic effect. The result was a film that terrified audiences and continues to haunt viewers. The enduring appeal of exorcism in cinema. Exorcism films tap into our primal fear of the unknown, of the darkness beyond our understanding.
They depict demonic entities, possession, and challenge our faith, providing a visceral cinematic experience.
These films offer a glimpse into the abyss, forcing us to confront forces beyond our control.
Beyond scares, they explore themes of faith, good versus evil, and the limits of human understanding.
The exorcism subgenre evolves, blending psychological horror with supernatural thriller. Films like The Babadook and Hereditary suggest true horrors lie within our minds.
As long as we are fascinated by the unknown, exorcism films will captivate and terrify us.
The enduring mystery. The chilling stories of Anneliese Michel and Roland Doe continue to resonate with us decades after their tragic ends. They serve as stark reminders of the power of belief, the complexities of mental illness, and the enduring human struggle to comprehend the unknown. Were these cases truly the result of demonic possession, or were they tragic examples of misdiagnosed and mistreated mental illness? The answer, like the shadows that dance in the flickering candlelight, remains elusive. The horrors that shook the world serve as a stark reminder of the fine line between faith and fanaticism, reason and superstition. They challenge us to confront our own beliefs about the nature of good and evil, the existence of the supernatural, and the limits of human understanding. As we delve into the darkest corners of human experience, we are left to ponder the enduring mysteries that lie at the heart of these haunting tales.